Sally back up?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
We have to have a vote to change it.
Mhm. Kathy, you have it?
So we're just discussing July? What about June?
June's over.
No, it's for next June.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It states June 11th, and I was given another one that I thought was updated that said June 18th, so what is the date?
Next year.
I thought you said June 18th.
Because the sports awards.
That needs to be adjusted because we need to adjust the date for June 18th because if it's earlier, a lot of the students won't have finished their seasons and the whole ending
Okay.
is that sports awards.
So let me start by, I'll just do that one separate so we can have a discussion and we can adjust it. Can I have a motion for 6.01 meeting dates?
To amend them?
Well, first we'll motion and then we'll discuss and we'll amend them at that point, right?
Yeah, sure,
Okay.
motion.
All right, thank you, Desmond. Tom, second. Discussion? Now we can make the amendments. Yeah, the dates are wrong. There's two incorrect dates.
Two dates have to be changed.
Correct.
Yeah,
We need a motion to amend the resolution first, and then a motion.
okay. Open, then amend, then prove?
I make a motion to amend the resolution to change and then state what you're changing, then approve the amendment, and then make a motion to approve the amended resolution.
Okay, so, but I guess we need to confirm what dates we want.
Correct. So,
Make the motion to amend, then discussion, then you can vote on it.
okay. Motion to amend meeting dates 25, 26. Two dates that we're amending. First is in the July date of 2025. We're amending July 22nd to July 29. And in June 2026, we're amending June 11th to June 18th. Motion, can I have a second?
Second.
Kelly, second.
Discussion.
Discussion?
And then we would just say that we have to change the meeting from the 22nd to the 29th so that we have 30 days after the,
No, that's not the reason to change the 22nd. The auditors are coming on the 29th, so we wanted to move the meeting so the auditors could give their auditing report on the 29th.
No, we moved, what we did was we moved.
Use your microphone, please.
Yes. We moved
Yeah, I know.
action
Okay.
up today, so we don't have any problem with the 30 days.
We'll have plenty of time for the 30 days. The moving of the meeting for the 29th was so that our internal auditors could give you an audit report on the date that they could be here.
Okay, so people just know that was going on. We had a action plan to vote for the school safety policy. We were going to do it on June 22nd. We had to change that date because the auditors are coming on July 29th, and it made more sense to be there. So we moved the approval of the school safety plan to tonight so that we didn't have a problem with 30 days that we need to do it prior
The
to
August meeting.
the August meeting. So that was taken care of by moving that to tonight's agenda. And we are going to move the 22nd to the 29th so we all can be here for the auditors. Everybody understand? Okay, so motion to approve, we did that?
Well,
No.
the other date that you're talking about was the June date for next June.
I did that one.
The last meeting of the year was the 11th. We do sports awards. The sports season won't be completely over, so we can't give out awards if kids haven't received them. So we're moving it to the 18th.
Okay, so next year's dates, July was going to be moved the 22nd to the 29th, June the 11th to the 18th. All in favor? Motion carries. A motion to approve the amended resolution?
Yes. Now you're approving it.
Let me try again. Motion to approve the amended resolution?
Motion.
Desmond, Tom? Discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. The amended motion carries. All right, remember that grace I asked for? I'm going to need a little bit. Okay, all right, so we have more on this meeting to approve. I'm going to ask for a motion to approve 701. Oh, wait, sorry, yes, 701.
He's 702. Yeah. The student is 702. Just, yeah.
Just do 702 by itself?
Yeah.
So 701,
Motion.
Second.
second. Discussion? All in favor? 701 carries. Motion 702 is the swearing in of the school board member?
Students.
Student. Okay, motion to, for 702, that's to approve our ex officio student member. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Tom, Kelly, all in favor? All right.
Just want to explain before everyone goes, for those at home, we are having a student member on the Board of Education who's sitting on the board. I want to congratulate Anthony Artusa, who's about to be sworn in as our student member. So
Please raise your right hand. I, Anthony Artusa, do solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and to faithfully discharge the duties of student ex officio board member of the Sayville Union Free School District, according to the best of my ability. Congratulations.
Congratulations. You got a seat here? Can you see me both? Yes, Anthony, sorry. Anthony, please come join us at our table. You are now welcome.
you even have a sign with your name on it. Yeah. We'll bring the-
Okay. Kodak moment. Anthony, we'd like to welcome you to our table, and we look forward to hearing you bringing your knowledge and perspective from the student body. I'd like to thank Kathy Van Dorn for working with the high school principal, Mrs. Bricker, and the high school staff, and having an election and choosing you. And we, again, look forward to hearing from you, and chime in anytime you feel you need. Yes. which we all seem to have a problem with. Okay, now we can move a little quicker. So a motion to approve 703 through 734. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, can I have a second? Second. Discussion? Okay, all in favor? Motion carries. Next one, a motion to approve. Wow. Okay, a lot of swearing in tonight. Who are we swearing in? Yes. All right. Thank you, Amy.
It's the last one.
That's okay.
Please raise your right hand. I, Amy Miller, do solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and to faithfully discharge the duties of District Clerk Pro Tem of the Sayville Union Free School District, according to the best of my ability. Congratulations.
Thank you. The official Amy DiMinola swearing in. All right, last one you promised, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless anybody else gets left.
Okay. Motion to approve 801 through 1012. 901. Wait, what happened? Oh, sorry. Motion to approve 901 to 10 through 1012. Can I have a motion? Second, Desmond, Tom, Desmond. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Okay, now I need a motion to adjourn this public hearing. James Kelly, discussion? All in favor? It's business meeting, then business meeting first?
Yes.
Okay, so I motion, call to order, or I need a motion to start? Call to order.
All right. So now
Okay.
go to-
I need a motion to call our business meeting to order.
Motion.
Kelly, Tom, discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. We are now in the business portion of tonight's meeting. Let me get to my agenda first. Okay, we already started with the pledge, so we don't need to recover that. We are going to move to correspondence. We've had some correspondence over the past couple of weeks. So first, we had an email received from the president of the Greater Islip Association regarding the building of the South Bay Village Development Project, also known as Island Hills. We're going to discuss that during our board discussion, so that will come up at that part. We received a historical newsletter about Sayville schools from Hal G. Brown of the Sayville Alumni Association, which we greatly appreciated. We also received emails regarding the way civil service is appointed and what the rules are that govern the appointments in those hirings. We received correspondence regarding middle school sports and the policies among that. We received 2 emails regarding the hot days in school, which we all experienced last week. And I already mentioned the Island Hills part. All 3 of those things that I mentioned, civil service, middle school sports, and heat in schools, Dr. Ferris is going to address during his piece of the meeting. And we'll discuss the Island Hills during ours.
Can I just say something?
Sure.
Yeah, this is a really cool resource. It's published by Virginia Lee Lusser. That was the piece that Christina mentioned with Hal Brown. He's the president of the Sayville Alumni Association. They're officially a nonprofit. She's a retired professor. And the style of it's pretty cool. It's similar to if you're familiar with the Sayville historical book, where there's a picture and then there's a caption. But she really goes through kind of a close history of Sayville schools and the Sayville community. It's awesome. I'm not sure how she's going to distribute it. It's available publicly in Sayville Alumni Association, but it's just a real neat, cool picture. And I want to thank Ms. Bricker, because Ms. Bricker and the librarian in the high school really found some archival data and really gave this a lot of teeth. I really appreciate it, Ms. Bricker. Thank you very much.
I look forward to reading through it. Okay, moving on to the Superintendent of Schools report.
Okay, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. For those of you who are here or at home, we had a really productive week, busy week, last 2 weeks in school with final exams, REACH exams, moving up ceremonies, and then eventually high school graduation, which brought us to a very fitting close to the school year. Although it felt like a day in November, it was a perfect weather for graduation. We're going to do around the district just with the graduations real quick. I'm going to give a heat dome update as we were hit with a heat dome on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of last week. And then I'll address the 2 emails that Ms. Sarney mentioned. So just want to congratulate all of our teachers at Cherry Avenue, Lincoln Avenue, Sunrise Drive, and Sayville Middle School. The end of year activities were plentiful, were student-centered, were caring. Teachers went out of their way to show kids love and respect and caring, and just sending them off to a really positive end to the school year. So I want to thank our teachers and staff, as well as our families. And then the moving up ceremonies at those schools were just really touching, honoring students and staff as they moved on from elementary school to middle school, and then from middle school to high school. And then, of course, on Friday, in 62 degrees of wind, but yet not hot sun, we had a really wonderful high school graduation. I want to thank Ms. Bricker and her administrative team, the Buildings and Grounds team, for all of these events throughout the district. They just pulled it off with unbelievable success, and I congratulate everyone involved. I also want to special shout out to the music department at graduation. The band just adds such a nice touch in the singing from the chorus students. Such a nice touch to the end of the school year and shows off and showcases the talent of our students. So I just want to thank everyone for that. Really, just a terrific year. Thank you to everybody. Yeah, you can clap. So there was a heat dome on Monday and Tuesday and part of the half day on Wednesday, which hit the schools, and we were planning for that. I coordinated with other superintendents in the Islip cluster to find out what they were doing. We looked at different plans and possibilities. We conferred with the Board of Ed. Ultimately, we did not feel it was appropriate to shorten the school day or close school just for the fact of the sheer numbers of working parents that wouldn't be able to react quickly to that kind of move. But we did meet the week before. Secondary schools, I want to thank Ms. Bricker and Dr. Castoro. All Regents exams and final exams were held in air conditioning spaces. Ms. Bricker and her team and Dr. Castoro and his team did an amazing job redesigning the final exam schedule the week before, and then sending out notice to families the Friday before about what was going to happen there. So I thank the high school and middle school. So despite the heat, they got through that pretty nicely. At the elementary schools, all classes were rotated into air-conditioned spaces. We met with principals beforehand. We came up with a plan for that. Teachers were able to sign up for spaces throughout the day. It was hot. It was a really hot day, and it was a really challenging day. And I visited every classroom and every school, and our teachers were working their tails off, and our kids were really relatively happy considering the heat. And I think that's a testament to the staff. And I just want to thank the staff for coordinating the movement into air-conditioned spaces, and also for just helping the kids keep a positive mindset during very hot days. But I do really appreciate that. And the elementary principals did send out signals to the families about this would be the plan. We did get some emails stating things like our kid only had 15 minutes of air conditioning. When we looked at it, I spoke to multiple teachers and looked at the principals. There was, teachers who had and staff who had 2 to 3 sessions of 40 minutes plus in air conditioning. I think the students had some 3 and 4 hours of air conditioning during the day, rotating. And again, it's not a perfect system. We don't like the situation, but I think under the circumstances, we did the best we could, and we had a relatively safe and healthy day. When I saw kids, they were playing games with their teachers, they were having ice pop parties and rotating to air-conditioned spaces, and the teachers' positive attitudes kept the students positive, and I really think that's a testament to our staff. And I do appreciate, and I still appreciate all of our staff who kind of fought through those 2 days. In regards to middle school sports, we have a modified program in the middle school, and we try to ensure that all students make as many teams as possible. Sometimes we have space issues and or not enough spots on a team, or if it becomes that we accept too many kids on a team, nobody hardly gets any playing time because you're trying to share the playing time. We do, unfortunately, in certain areas, make cuts. Our goal would be to not do that, and we do have 3 teams that we're looking at really hard: soccer boys, soccer girls, and boys baseball, that we want to try to make adjustments to add spots so that we don't have to make cuts in the future. But our sports program at the middle school is a modified program, meaning we focus on skill development. Many of the games, like in basketball and football, have 5 quarters. They're not really quarters, they're 5 sessions, I guess you'd call them, so that we can get more kids into the games. But it becomes challenging in a baseball game when you have 25 students on a team. Even if every student plays 2 innings, depending on the flow of the game, they might not even get in at bat. So we really want to try to solve that, but budgetarily we couldn't add 3 extra teams in middle school, but we'd like to look at that in the future. And then the last one was a civil service question. We are hiring tonight a person on the civil service list. What we do is we're required by civil service law to canvass a list. Depending on the score they get, you pick from the score. However, we are able to reinstate people if they have been in a position, were appointed to that position, and basically got approved and served in that position. So the person that we're approving tonight was on that list to be reinstated. And so it is following civil service rules, but they are not on the score list because they scored in an earlier test, were appointed on the earlier test, and served in that role in a different school district.
I think one of the things in the back and forth of the emails that was confusing to me, at least, and I think maybe was confusing to the author of the email, was is it the law that, or I guess it would be the law that you have to ask those people first before going to a reinstatement? So if there are people that are on the current list that are willing to take that position, do you have to go to them first, or can you completely bypass that?
Right.
Because that's That's how I read that email.
Right. You don't bypass. So what you do is you canvass the list, and then anyone else who applies, if there's someone who can be reinstated, you interview. So if the list has hundreds, 95s,
Yeah, right.
90s, you have to start with the hundreds. You can't hire a 95 if there's 100 ahead of them to a certain degree. But the issue is that when the principal interviews the hundreds plus anyone who's asking to be reinstated, the hiring committee can choose the best of those candidates. So in this case, the best of the candidates was a reinstatement, not person on the list.
Okay.
But the principal could have chosen with their hiring team any of the hundreds, not 95s, from that list, but they thought this was the better candidate.
Okay. And as far as the middle school sports, I understand baseball's different.
Yeah.
It's different. But when it comes to soccer, if we're playing 5 quarters, I think that's something that we could look into. If you're playing 5 quarters, who cares at what point wins and losses, right? At the middle school level, we're just trying to develop talent, and you never know the kid that, is 4'11", 75 pounds is going to grow up to be 6'3" and 215. So I think if we utilize that 5th quarter as just, you can play those kids that you may have cut, that's 11 spots right there. That adds 11 spots. I know sometimes, listen, I've seen it my whole life. Some guys use that where they mix their A and B team, but, they some coaches say, okay, well, the 5th quarter is whatever the score is at the end, that's who wins. And no, but it's the end of the 4th. Who cares?
Yeah.
We shouldn't care at Sayville. We should be trying to develop as many kids as we can. And we could utilize the 5th quarter that way. And, so now that's 33 kids.
Yeah. The issue is we're having 40 plus tryouts. So now you're getting into a zone where even the 5th quarter is hard to staff the whole team, so to speak. So
once you start,
with 40 plus and 50, you could have 2 teams.
Well,
I'll give you an example. Like when I was principal in Patton Middle School, we played against Sayville football team, and they stomped my school. Like it wasn't even close. And I said, that team is, I said, what's the deal? I was giving my players a hard time, my students. They're like, they were so big. They were so big. I'm like, I was talking to the biggest kid in school. He said, there was 100 kids on the football team, over 100 kids on the football team. It was literally like every single 7th and 8th grade boy was on the football team.
Yeah, we have a lot of numbers. We know that. But I think what we wanted to respond to that parent and to all parents is that we do have a modified program. We do focus on skills. We happen to do well also, but we want to rotate as many kids in as possible. But once you get to like 40 plus, even rotating in 5 quarters, I know they're not quarters, but 5 sessions, it becomes difficult to get a kid in. Or in baseball, once you get past 26 kids, if everybody played 2 innings, you still might not get in at bat. And that's not,
They only play 7.
and they only play 7 innings,
I think it's worth analyzing doing a cost analysis of what it would be, and then potentially
I think trying to be inclusive, try to find a way to get those kids involved. Because you don't want kids cut.
Yeah.
I can't speak for baseball, but my daughters played soccer in the middle school, and they did exactly what we're proposing that they do. And the 5th quarter was often by agreement of the coaches from both teams. Sometimes in the fall, the days were getting short. It was getting cold. The weather wasn't good. So sometimes they played the 5th quarter. Sometimes they wouldn't. You never really knew when you got there what was going to happen. But I don't remember the numbers being as large as we're saying that they are going to be now. And we're like a victim of our own success here, right? We're such a great sports town that the kids want to play. So I agree that maybe we should do cost analysis and see what the realities are.
And in 2006, we did have 2 teams for baseball and 2 teams for soccer, but we also had 200 plus students at the middle school at that time. But so kids were still getting cut even with the 2 teams. I would argue we want to have a program that doesn't cut, but we also then can steer kids to other sports. We try to, so if you do get cut from soccer or baseball, there's tennis, there's cross country, there's track and field, and those teams fill up as well. And then people get to continue to be on a team.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I just want to chime in here because I coached middle school baseball for about 5 years, and it is a rough day cutting kids. But I had 50 kids trying out for a team, so you could draw the line at 16, you could draw the line at 26, but you still have to draw the line somewhere, unless you are doing 2 teams. So, I mean, if we can afford to do that, I think that's great. But there has to be a line drawn somewhere, and unfortunately, that's probably pretty much up to the coach and the district. And what can the coach do? Are we giving them an assistant coach to help manage these players? I know just from coaching, it was really hard to sub kids in and out, keep track of pitches, be the third base coach, keep count. It's a lot to do with one person. And so we want to give kids playing time and we want to develop kids. But there has to be a hard line there somewhere. And I would like that line to be as far as possible that we can get it. But, I think the community has to realize that too.
And we also have to be fiscally responsible and focus
Right.
our funds on the things that,
Right.
in a preference of order. That
I wonder if there's an ability to look sort of at alternatives like a in-house club intramural sort of thing. Because once you add a team, it's not just coaches, which obviously come at a cost, but it's busing. There's a whole lot of other
Umpires.
pieces,
Right.
umpires, uniforms, field space, right? There's a whole lot of other expenses that come. So it's not just like, hey, hire another coach. There's a whole bunch of other pieces. I wonder if there's other ways we can figure out how to create internal teams or something to get them more playing time. Yeah.
Maybe the athletic foundation was involved with its rules. It gives kids multiple avenues to participate.
Or you could implement a JV9 at some levels.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sure Ryan has a whole bunch of ideas.
Dr.
Yes.
Cox has been looking at this for a while and is really committed to looking at it. Just wanted to ask, because we want to make sure we get used to engaging, if the student
Yeah.
member has any thoughts on that. Just use your mic.
Great idea. Thank you.
I think I agree with Tom. I feel like to a certain extent, it's good to have as many as you can get on the team, but it becomes where's the number? Eventually it does have to end. So
Appreciate that.
So simple.
See, one comment, he gets an applause.
I know.
Can we do
want to
that?
try that after every time one of us speaks?
Impressive.
It's going to be a very long meeting.
All right, so that's my report and my response to those.
Okay, before we move on, does anyone want to address any of the other things that he mentioned besides the sports? I just want to give a shout out to the teachers and SRPs and bus drivers and anybody who had to deal with that heat. It was really awful, and the keeping the students engaged isn't easy, and we know that it was uncomfortable, and we absolutely appreciate it. And thank you to the STA for providing water, making sure everybody stayed hydrated, which was really, key to trying to stay cool. And to the parents who needed to send their kids to school, we did the best we could to keep them comfortable. And if you were able to do alternative, we understood that as well. So it came at the end of the year, which kind of was to our luxury, right? The regions were happening in the secondaries, testing in the middle school, so the number of kids wasn't as great. But I taught 18 years, and I know many of you had, and this heat wave could hit in September, it could hit in late May, and there is, a law. I think we should put a link to that law actually on our website that starts obviously September 1st. But the law doesn't indicate that school has to close. It says that we have to make alternatives to make our students and our staff as comfortable as possible, and we'll stay committed to that. So thank you. All right, moving on to Board of Ed discussion. All right, we're going to start with the Island Hills development. So we received a request from the GIA. If you don't know, I'm sure most of us do at this point. The Greater Islip Association is the organization that is leading the charge against the zone change for the development of the Island Hills Golf Course. At one point known as Gray Barn, now it's been changed to the South Bay Village, I think is the name of it. There has been a change in the original proposal at the town level, and apparently, although I haven't seen it and I can't verify it, there has been a new proposal, but there is definitely a discussion in concept, and it calls for 189 units, mixed use, home ownership, townhomes for rental, and regular townhomes for ownership and rentals as well. The concerns remain the same. We did write a letter. We've written 2 letters from this board, actually. And we know the concerns of the community are, taxing our infrastructure, our water, our sewers, our cesspools, those sort of things, traffic congestion, emergency response teams, and there's the change into the character of our community. I do want to make it clear that the way that that area is zoned, anyone who moves there with children, their students would not come to the Sayville School District. So we don't have any positive or negative effect based on that, they will all go to the Connecticut School District. So it really falls in their jurisdiction when it comes to the educational piece. The GIA has asked us to give a formal position on our stance. They were not clear whether it was the stance on the current proposal or just the building in general. So I'm going to also mention that on July 16th, there is a town meeting where Reckler, who is the developer, will be presenting, or there'll be a presentation to the zoning board. And before we go any further, I'm going to suggest everybody put that on the calendar. It is really important that Sayville and Bohemia and surrounding communities show up in mass and voice their personal opinions. As much as this board can make a stance, nothing is more powerful to a politician than a whole bunch of people in front of them that can or cannot vote for them, or will not vote for them. So I'm going to open up to discussion to hear what everybody thinks. And the question is, are we going to write a letter? And if we write a letter, what is the letter going to say? And can we get that letter done by July 16th?
Let me offer more just background information. So the meeting on the 16th is the planning board.
Planning, oh, I thought it was
Right,
zoning,
the
I'm
planning
sorry.
board. So I want to give more context because 2 weeks before that, about a week and a half ago, the town of Islip walked on a new member of that committee, of that board, unannounced, without public notice, highly irregular. The person actually was secretary for the town of Islip Parks Department when there was dumping of 100 million pounds of construction material laced with toxins. They were probably the whistleblower. That's my suspicion. That person was walked on, and they're on the planning board now. And then 2 weeks later, they announced the planning board will be voting on the zone change for that property. Now, the planning board in the town of Islip, if they say no and they shoot it down, there's no appeals process. It's dead in the water, that proposal. I'm pissed, to be quite honest, and not to use the word, that within 2 weeks of them walking on somebody, there's now a vote on this. It smells really bad to me. If we were going to write a letter, that's exactly what I want to write a letter on. It's just not a good way to conduct business. It doesn't encourage trust. The person probably is a decent person and is principled. They work for the county executive's office. The guy's probably very good, but we didn't have an opportunity to even consider it. There was no public notice. It's ridiculous. I'm not happy.
I have a question, if maybe James can answer it, or anyone. What fire district,
West Sayville, Oakdale,
West Sayville, Oakdale, what ambulance,
community ambulance,
and what library?
Connecticut, because it's Connecticut School District Lawrence.
Okay, thank you.
It's our main traffic corridor. They call that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Does anyone know, how the traffic is going to be routed with Lakeland Avenue right there? Does anyone know anything?
But like I said, the newest plan, I don't know. There's a concept that was shopped, right? If you went there, they had these open community forums, and they had like this concept, which was basically like watercolored sketches, but the details were not included in that, so we don't know what the traffic pattern was. But I mean, they promised that it'll be minimal and all of those things, but I don't know how you put 890 units and call it minimal traffic, but that is what they are promising.
I mean, this might be a question, a dumb question, but why are we writing letters as a school board? Like, why is this a school board issue? And if you can tell me why this is a school board issue, because right, like when we sit down and we make decisions, it's like, all right, how does this benefit our kids? What is the best decision for kids? And I know you're part of that group, so you're passionate about it. I don't know if James is, but obviously I know James has always been passionate about this project, and I'm all for the passion. I get it. But I just know is like why how I personally feel about that project versus my role as a public servant. I don't know if we should be writing letters representing the entire public without really knowing how the entire community feels, because I have been in small businesses where we're always talking about supporting our small business owners in town and trying to get more small business in it, which brings in tax revenue, which is a revenue stream for our district. And they seem, some of the ones, some that I talked to are like, it would be great because it would be an influx of people. We all know the negatives. We all, 100%, I agree with James when it comes to like these, these political deals and walking on. I heard walking on that member. I heard about it, and it's shady. 100%, it's shady. But our job is to do what's right by kids, and we've already written a letter. So like, at what point do we say, hey, listen, we've written our letter, we've voiced our opinion and our opposition. Do we just say, like, we've done it?
I just want to clarify something. I'm not part of the GIA. I was president and one of the founders, James as well, of the Civic Association, who has worked on this as well. And I'll answer
You're on the website, though.
I'm on the website.
The one that Mylan.
Probably as a
came from.
Probably as a supporter.
It
Yeah.
says group member.
Yeah, and I'll answer further your question, Desmond, to my thoughts on that, but I want to let Chris speak first.
People look at us as the local, most closely associated board of governance for them, right? We're the smallest part of government, and people, they're our neighbors, and they come out and they want to know where we stand on stuff like that. So I think that's why people are asking the board to do so. It does affect our community, and that's their view on it. But like, you're right, it's not our schooling per se, but could that affect our busing situation, getting kids to and from school? Sure. Does that kind of dump right out into our local communities and, right by the Cherry Avenue soccer fields and all of that? Absolutely. So, I mean, there's concern there for the people. And like I said, if we can, what do we want to see in the community, right? Or what do they want to see in the community? I guess that's the main thing. But I hear your point about we're here for education, right?
No, I'm just saying, like, personal feelings aside, I agree with James, and our beliefs probably fall right in line with each other. But this isn't right. This isn't Desmond Megna's. This is we're the Board of Education that represents everybody. I'm just trying to make sure that we ourselves are sending all these letters and doing all these things, and then
Is this like the school
Right.
petition or something?
They'll just go out. I think in that same vein, like about what, I'm sorry, what? About what James was just saying about walking on that board member. I don't know, as shady as it does sound, I don't know that particular issue is something that the school board would take issue with as a body.
I don't feel strongly that we need to write a letter. I just wanted people to kind of have the facts. This is totally shady. I'm really unhappy with how they did that. Again, I don't know that this is a necessary school issue. I don't feel the need to write a letter. I'm just upset with how they're doing this.
And I think that would be a fair compromise, actually. You said by, what did you just say? Like letting people know the facts, that would be a fair compromise. Even if it was like a website thing, like frequently asked questions or something like that, where people could go and get the answers.
Like the larger context for this, the town of Islip is undertaking its first master plan in 70 years. I mean, it's something like 70 years. And they're putting a lot of money behind it. So yeah, that's the larger context. But like all of a sudden, this is like a rush job. They just lined up the planning board. They get somebody on there, and now it's on the agenda. Like, to me, I want people to know the facts. I think that's more important to me than voicing some kind of position.
Correct. Tom?
No, I just wanted to say to Desmond's comment that it doesn't affect us. Why do we bother? But indirectly, it does affect us. I mean, it's at our entrance to our town. It'll impact traffic congestion and, potentially real estate values and everything. So I can understand why, just like Chris said, that people would look to us as leaders in the district to use our voice when we can.
So I do want to say this. The GIA has has the charge of trying to educate people and get them involved, and they're looking for as much support as possible, and they look to us. And I think that we did write a letter. I know that Kathy helped to help write it, and I don't know that our stance has changed much. Then we are concerned. We remain concerned. Yeah, it was within this past year. that, the effects of infrastructure, the traffic congestion, emergency response, character of the community, the environmental impact does have an effect on our community. And I don't think it hurts to stand with our neighboring district. Part of West Sayville does go to Connecticut. So these are, absolutely people in our community. And just continue to urge the town to listen to its constituents. I think that might be where we can go. I'm sure that GIA wants a stronger stance, like a strong no zone change, but I'm hesitant because although I feel like I'm educated on it, I don't know that everybody on this board is. So I think that what we want to do is encourage the GIA, encourage the town to continue its outreach and educate as many people as possible. And as a board, encourage our town to go be part of the process like they come here to do. So I am in favor of writing a letter because I think that we can get a message across that people need to be involved. I think it brings awareness to the issue. And I think that we all should be pushing people to attend that July 16th meeting.
Can we just keep it short and sweet and go, the board does not like the current proposal being for the 891 units.
The size and scope.
The size and scope of this proposal. We appreciate that affordable housing is needed. Like one paragraph, please attend this meeting. Can we post that up online and have people educate themselves at the actual town?
So I just want to ask Teresa a procedural question. If we agree that we will write a letter, what I would like to do is ask if we could share the last two letters that we sent so the board members who weren't here can see them, which I think is important, and then craft a letter that reiterates that consistent stand. Do we need to approve that at the next meeting?
Or you could approve the resolution now to authorize you to send a letter and then, and then do that and then send a letter afterwards. But if you want to approve it once it's completed, then you do it the way you stated. Either way, you need a resolution to approve, you send a letter.
Okay, so I want to be respectful of what everybody just said. I'm not trying to push anything through. I gave my opinion. I'm going to allow you all to speak on how you want to handle this process. Do we let it lie, do nothing? Do we pass a resolution saying that we're approving that we're going to send a letter so we can get it out by July 16th? Do we write a letter and wait to the next meeting to approve it? Any of those,
What's actually happened at the 16th meeting?
that's the planning board meeting.
Is considering the Island proposal.
Yeah.
Presumably it's to, the
But
process
then it goes to the full board as well,
Well, it
right?
would go, in between would be zoning. That's what someone described it to me. Planning, zoning, town council. However, if planning said nixed it, there's no appeals process, it's done. So, but the process is planning, zoning, council.
Yeah, there's a lot to this that I honestly don't know. I sort of lost it in the process as time went on. I don't know if it has to go back to the SECRA. It's got to go back. Like, it's a whole new project. So they may be starting from square one. To me, I think that's what the July 16th meeting is. But the JIA has asked us to put our 2 cents in about the project as a whole in prior to that.
I mean, I can share the public notice email to them.
I feel like right now, as we're talking, there's a lot of, I'm not sure, maybe this, I think it's, I just don't feel like we have a lot of solid information right now that I would feel comfortable saying, yeah, hey, let's write this letter right this moment. I don't know. I'm not saying I'm not in favor of a letter.
What I'm thinking is write a draft, and then at the next meeting, then we can, we'll have more information.
I mean, the person who asked us to write the letter doesn't even, it's a Connecticut member, right?
Yeah, yes.
Nobody from our town asked us to write this. So I think I like the part about encouraging, like what Chris just said about encouraging people to attend the meeting as community members.
Mhm.
I just feel like there's a lot of uncertainty right now with what meeting is it? When's it going to end? What are they proposing? Is it new? Is it the old one? What
Public
if,
hearing, I mean, I can read it out. I mean, it's a public hearing on Wednesday, July 16th, 6 p.m. to consider the merits and to clarify the issues of the following land use applications and to review the associated environmental impacts. So it's streamed on the internet. Anyone can write a question, make a public comment.
so in that meeting, they're going to be
discussing the impact.
is to, yes, to the associated environmental impacts.
So those
So it's
impacts are
secret
not
related.
yet known.
Or they haven't been published. So I guess the secret of the current plan is being reviewed.
Is there any benefit to just sending the last letter that we just sent again? Because I think that's pretty much stating where we stand.
Yeah.
We could send it
I would,
again.
yeah, I would like everyone to, like, to look at it again.
You want me to read it? Can have you read our last letter out?
Sure, absolutely.
Dear Town of Islip Supervisor, Carpenter, and Board Council members, we are writing on behalf of the Sayville School District to again register our concerns regarding the Island Hills Golf Course property in Sayville. As you know, Reckler Equity Partners submitted a plan to the Town of Islip in 2017. The plan sought to build 27 buildings and 1,365 units on the 114-acre property. We understand the plans for development of the area have since evolved. However, the proposed revisions have been presented to a very limited number of community residents, and this appears to have been done by invitation only. According to the report released by the Island Hills Advisory Committee and feedback we have received from community members, there is still strong opposition to the revised plans. Population density, increased traffic, congestion, and the potential environmental impact remain the top concerns among those who have contacted us. We are again requesting more transparency and the opportunity for the general public to have their questions answered. We request a public forum at which Reckler Equity Partners can present the current proposal and residents can ask questions. Additionally, we strongly encourage Town Board Council members to meet with constituents and work closely with various community groups to adequately address the concerns of the residents of Sayville, West Sayville, and the surrounding areas. Sincerely, Board of Education.
Send it again. So why don't we just send it again? This way it goes to the planning board.
Okay.
You want to
We'll
scribble
start
out
with you,
Maureen's
Chris.
name and put my name on there and just set it again?
Of resending that. Yeah, you can resend it.
I'm in favor.
James? Kathy? I think the sentiment remains the same. Reckler has not had a public forum where they've answered questions.
They have, it was years ago, 7.
No, but
Yeah,
this
but
is
not-
since those focus groups and since the change, they have not.
They went up to John Pearl and like, what was it, John Pearl? Maybe Sycamore?
That was like 2016-ish, yeah. That was the original. This letter was written after the focus groups. There were invite-only focus groups. And they say they invited 1,000 people, but only 100 showed up. And then there is actually an interesting website where they have all of the feedback that they got. And since then, very much crickets until all of a sudden we're now here at this planning meeting. And I think that's why the GIA is feeling strongly that is anybody that will make a statement and will speak out against it. They're looking for that support. So I'm in favor of resending that letter, reiterating it.
I agree.
The only thing is, I don't know if this information is still correct. Is their plan still 27 buildings, 1,365
Didn't someone just
units?
say 800?
No, if
So I
you-
think that has been amended.
No, but if you keep reading, you
Yes.
did, it was
That's
amended.
evolved.
It's evolved.
Right, so we don't want to put the new plan in here?
It's the reduced ones in there.
It says it's evolved. It's changed.
Yeah.
Okay, you didn't
So-
want to put the specific details?
There is no,
There's never
Kelly,
been
I mean,
no
Kathy, to
plan.
my
There's
knowledge,
been no plan
there is
since.
no specific
Okay.
details. It's still in that conceptual phase, which is, I don't even understand how they're having this meeting,
Well,
but
so I think what Christine's saying, which I think would maybe warrant keeping it, the only public plan that we've seen is that many units. We know it's changed, but they haven't released a plan yet.
Okay.
Maybe this is the first time we're seeing the plan.
Yes.
Because they're looking at the secret. Maybe that's what this is. It's hard to, I'm sending you guys the public notice so everyone has the same info, but yeah, it's not, I don't think it's very good.
I think the scariest part is, what if something that's presented on the 16th leads to a vote and people don't have the information? And I think we need to keep pushing that everybody gets more information and educated on it, because we're not the experts on this. We're not the organization that's leading this fight, and we're doing our best, but it doesn't seem like anyone has the information.
Good.
Okay, so we're gonna resend that letter with Chris's name on it. Sorry, Maureen. And move on. I do. We do. Can I have a motion to resolve the resending of the letter to the town dated, Kathy, what was it dated? Oh.
From the 2024 year, substantively the same form as it was previously sent.
From the 24 year, resending the same letter in its substance to the town. Can I have a motion?
Motion?
Chris, second? Can someone second?
Aye.
Oh, thank you. Discussion? All in favor? Okay, motion carries. And Kathy, if you, Kathy or Julie will help us look at that letter. I think we all should have eyes on it before we send it, but we can get it to them before July 16th. Okay, moving on. Hopefully that was the big one for tonight. And let's see elementary report cards. I think, Des, that was you.
Yeah, that was me. I just think that one thing that we should look to do is to release the elementary report cards before the last day of school. So currently they don't get put up on the portal until the last day of school. And so then if there's anyone that has any, like if there's a parent that has a question about anything, there's no one to reach. And even if they are reaching out to the teachers via Parent Square, that's not fair to the teachers because this is their summer. So I think in the future we should try just, even if we just give it 2 days before we release it on the parent portal, I think it would make everybody's life easier. And, the teachers don't have to feel pressured to answer questions over their summer. And, the parents have a chance to ask questions about it.
I think that's a good idea.
That seems logical. I'm going to discuss that with the elementary team and we'll get back to you on that.
Great.
All right.
Math AIS.
Yeah, it's me again.
Yeah.
Okay, so currently I believe we're at 1.7 mark per elementary school. I was just wondering if we could look at the financials and what it would be to bring it back to 2.0. It's my understanding that looking at the third grade cohort group, which went from third and just finished their fifth grade year, they had the 2 years with the Math AIS, that their numbers went from 50% on grade level to 63% on grade level, which is an increase in 13% in 2 years, which is a pretty solid number.
Good job.
So, see, Anthony, people clap for me too sometimes. So I think that I just think that it is worth revisiting, and if we can look at the numbers and make a financially responsible decision, I think it is worth talking about. I only wanted to bring it back up. Listen, number 3 and number 1 just popped up this week with the report cards, but 3 and 4 are things that people have gotten up and spoken passionately about in the past, especially during the budget. And obviously tough decisions were made, and we did the best that we could. But now we're in a position where we can revisit some of these things, and I just don't want the community members to feel like things get brought up and then it gets passed over and then it gets forgotten about. So I'll just blend right into
No, I'd like to
4.
piggyback that.
Oh,
Hold
go
on.
ahead.
So I think the Math IS got lost in the budget chaos because we were looking at that, and then I think that just fell to the side. But now that we have a retirement, perhaps we could do teacher money into teacher money, right? I'm learning a lot about elementary school, and we do know that literacy and math is king in elementary school, right? And I think no one can argue that building foundations in math are extremely important for future success, because math, one class leads to the next class from kindergarten straight through 12th grade. So I think if we can do this, we should do this.
Yeah, I want to emphasize that nobody wanted to cut any of those things, including the math. No, but I'm not saying as a defense. I'm just saying our plan all along was to go from 1 math teacher to 2, and we did that successfully in each elementary school because we believe in that. for our kids. When we hit the financial issues that we had, we dropped down to 1 again, and then we found a way, if you remember, through discussion and as the budget process was unfolding, trying to figure out how we can restore some things. We did restore 1 additional math teacher to get it back to the 1.7, but I do agree that in the grand picture, we want to be aiming for that 2 per building. That was always our goal, and it should continue to be. And including with literacy, we wanted to have actually 3 reading teachers and 2 math teachers in each building and build on that, and et cetera, so forth. But I would just say that I would want to, our new business official started literally today, and I want to have some time to assess where we are as a budget, because there's a lot of things we want him to do an audit of, and I could have you speak to that, just to make sure that everything is as it should be and needs to be before we make any promises or decisions to anybody. But I really want to be very careful, and I want to make sure that as we head into next budget year, we're not doing anything like what we had to go through this year. So I
Right,
agree.
just so we know the door is still open.
Yeah. Agree.
Yeah.
Did you want to add to that, or?
Welcome.
Sure. thank you. Yeah, no, I just need to go through all the numbers, the way the staffing was put together for this year, make sure everything is included. I've seen some inconsistencies in some of the budget lines already, so I just want to make sure we have enough money both on the expense side and on the revenue side to cover ourselves so we don't create a bigger hole for next year. So just need a little time to look at that.
So whatever we do, we're going to do it smartly and thoughtfully, and of course, supporting the education. And I see a lot of our math AS teachers in the room over there, and our kindergarten teachers. We love you and we want to support you further. And of course, we want that. Of course we do. So thank you.
All right, so now on to kindergarten aides. Are they currently, are kindergarten teachers back to 2 hours?
Now, currently they have 1 hour per class, and we have principals have the ability with floaters on days that aren't busy in the building to send additional support to each kindergarten.
Yeah, so when it's Robert, right? Robert? Yeah. So when Robert is done looking through everything, I think I feel pretty strongly about that. 1 hour in a kindergarten class to me is unacceptable. So I think that that's something that we should really look into. Again, I fully understand the financial situation that we're in. I get it. But at some point you gotta, all we do is sit up here and talk about, how, we're building a foundation, and you need to be, get as much work in at the youngest age as you can.
Mhm.
But a 1 hour a day aide in kindergarten is unacceptable. So I think I hope that the door is open for
look
that
at
as
everything.
well. And when Robert finishes his due diligence, that we can continue that discussion.
And I thought we discussed this, and I thought we agreed to put it back to the 2. So when
Yeah.
teachers spoke to me, I was surprised.
No, I thought
No.
we said that, no, the preschool teachers have it mandated by state law. The conversation that we had that I understood it was I was going to have principals look at it and try to use floaters to offset the time. And also one of the things you brought up, which I did agree with, was having coordination of the time so that they were at effective times.
Same time, and
during
where
the
the
day.
teacher can
Right.
most
But-
efficiently
right,
use them.
Right, but I think what we talked about was the fact that principals do have floaters and they can assign them to kindergartens unless something else is going on at certain times. So that would be the discretion of the principal working with the kindergarten teachers. I don't believe I said that it was going to be just put back.
I guess I was listening with hopeful ears because I really thought you were reinstating that.
Does anybody else want to comment?
No, I mean, I just feel it's very important to not rush through the budget, and that we make sure that we have the funds in order to safeguard the district for the future. We can't, we got to give Robert some time to at least get into the position. And it would be, I think it wouldn't be prudent just to right away say, okay, we have a retiree, let's do this or something like that. Let the administration really look at the numbers and then make a recommendation to the board, and then we can discuss it and go from there.
And further, over the summer, certain other things come up, whether it's enrollment in certain classes go up and then we have to split a section, or CSEs play out and we have to split a section of 812s. So those could be additional costs. We have to watch all of it at the same time and then make a good decision. But we're not going to not. We will be looking at it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank
Todd?
you.
Well, I'm not sure. I know everyone's talking so much, but I too am looking forward to you, Robert, checking out with your eagle eye and seeing how everything looks. But I know I'm a board member, but right now I just want to be a parent and say that I agree with the aide, the kindergarten aide, I know both of my children had Miss Delaney, one of the best kindergarten aides ever, and she was in the classroom for, I think it was more than 2 hours. She was there for a long time, and she really helped them out. And I know the kindergarten teachers, it's hard teaching kindergarten.
Right.
And they're our littlest ones. So I'm hopeful too that we can try to make something work, but I know we have to be fiscally responsible. I'm hoping it works out.
I mean, look, I'm sorry. We're all using the term fiscally responsible, and I get it, but like, there's a difference between being fiscally responsible and like taking it out on kids and like not doing what's right for kids. Like,
I don't think anyone's proposing that.
no,
think
I know,
we're
but I
saying
just
we
feel
don't
like we're
wanna-
all saying the same thing because of what happened this year. Like, we're scared. And so we're all like saying, nobody wants to go through that again, right?
No, of
like
course,
that was a
nobody
nightmare
does.
for all
Yeah.
of us, right? But
we want to be
But I
cognizant
just
of
want
that.
to like reiterate, like, yeah, like, yes, of course, be fiscally responsible, but like, there's going to come a topic or a subject where like, you can't worry about the funds at that point. You have to do what's right. And I do think that this is one of those things. And especially when we're talking about aides, like, we're not talking about answering like FTEs and like, $70,000 a year employees. Like, I think this is something that, yes.
No, it's not a no-brainer. I mean, I think Robert's been on the job 1 day, right?
You got
Isn't
1
his
week,
first day
Robert.
Today?
1 hour. He's been here for 1 hour.
4 hours.
Yeah. So you have our aspirations, but we do have to be fiscally responsible.
And
That's
again,
our-
I
that's our
want to
job.
make sure he goes through the entire budget line by line, looks at everything we planned, looks at our expense side and our revenue side, and make sure we're where we think we are, and before we make any commitments to anything. And then once we understand that, we'll present to you where we are, and there might be other items you want to look at as well. So you have to kind of look at them all and balance them together.
And
we'll
what
do
you're
that.
and what you're saying right now, like, go through the budget line by line. Okay, you think that's a given. We tried that last season and it
Well,
didn't
we've
work
been doing
out,
it.
right?
We've been doing
Yeah.
it, yes.
I
So-
know, but we had a problem with it. So I think that's why everyone's really making a point to say, like, these things are important, but we have to make sure we get the budget thing right.
Mhm.
So let's do both.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we can remain committed to replacing all the things that unfortunately we had to remove, and perhaps prioritizing them either by importance or by cost. It does feel like, putting an hour worth of kindergarten aid is a low budget item as opposed to adding teachers. And sorry, teachers, but that is the reality. But we need to be careful when we talk about adding sports teams and adding aides and adding teachers and then because we want to do it all. There's not one of us that doesn't want to do it all. And we need to be careful as we go through, and when we are trying to be fiscally responsible and live within our budget and worry about our fund balance at the same time, that we make decisions that do have the greatest impact on kids for the lowest amount of money or fiscal stress. So I think that once Robert does look through the budget and presents what he finds, then we might need to start to prioritize where we want to put money.
There will be
Can I-
high priority moments where we do it immediately, and then there will be things we build into next year's budget.
So can I ask a question to that point? If we are in favor as a board, could this get done by the opening school year? Do you think that's realistic?
It depends on what we find. It depends on a number of factors. So we can discuss it again on July 28th, and then but aides are different. Increasing an 8-hour is a very different type of financial
sure.
thing than
Sure.
adding an additional full-time teacher. So I think it's important to take our time and get it right. And some things will have to be in next year's budget, and some things can be looked at now.
Okay.
And we're just going to be honest and direct with you about what we find, and you guys will be the ultimate arbiters of what the priorities are.
Thank you. Did you want to say anything? You don't have to. I just saw you lean in.
Well, I just jump in, but I just wanted to say, I think by our next meeting, I should be able to talk to this much more completely and be able to make some recommendations for this year and for next year.
Thank you. There was no judgment that you didn't have an answer right now.
We're just joking with you, Rob.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Scope annual meeting is August 13th. That is a welcome to new board members. So I believe if Chris can attend, he should, and I hope that he does. And any of us who can attend with him would be a wonderful welcome to him. Julie, I do plan to attend. I don't know if anybody else wants to respond now or respond during email. That's fine.
You can put me down. I'll try it.
The 13th.
And when is the?
Oh, that thunder again.
Something last night.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I will be attending. Thank you,
Okay.
Julie.
Thank you. All right, Board of Education, July meeting, we already discussed this in the last meeting, but just to make it loud and clear, our meeting date was originally July 22nd. We are moving that to July 29th to accommodate the auditors. So just want to make sure that the public knows that. And then the claims audit report, are there any comments or discussion?
Everything
No.
looked to be in
Okay.
order. There were just a couple items and they were reviewed and then adjusted accordingly. So that's good.
Thank you. I just want to also add, I think if we can now take out our calendars, I think we should try to choose our retreat date. I think it should be after the July 29th meeting, so that we can use some of the July 29th meeting to discuss what that retreat will look like. I am,
When is our August meeting?
Does anyone have it?
I think it's on 26th, whatever the Tuesday, last Tuesday of the month.
Okay. So our last of the summer.
Like is the week of the 11th? Is that a possibility?
wait, hold on, I got my calendar up. What did you say, Tom?
The week of the 11th? How does that work for everybody?
I can do 13th is now the scope dinner. I can do the 11th or the 12th.
Jillian, what's the last day of the extended school year, summer school? Is it the 12th?
The 11th.
I think it's Tuesday or Wednesday, the 12th or the 13th.
Can I just ask for more information about that? Like,
Sure.
when does it
So
start? When does it end?
It's a daytime event. We usually meet from somewhere around 9 to 3, and then we usually will extend and have late lunch or dinner together. It has varied year to year. I'd like to get a date and then kind of throw out sort of, I have an idea of what I think this year should focus around. But I don't think we need to have a huge discussion about it tonight. I think that we should all think about it, and I want to discuss it in more detail, or suggest that we discuss it in more detail on July 29th. But do we have a consensus with July 11th or 12th? I meant August. I don't like to talk about August. It like rushes the summer. Oh,
What day is the admin retreat? Is the 14th, 13th? Okay.
all right.
only do Monday or Tuesday, the 11th.
I'm the same, so.
Either one is fine for me. I can do either. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I can only do the 10th, the 11th, I'm sorry. I cannot do the 12th.
Yeah, the 11th works for me.
11th works? All right.
James? Yep. Got a date.
Gee, we got a date. Look at that.
Board history.
Um,
That means I have something on that day.
I know. I'm thinking the same thing.
Will that be in Bayport again?
Bayport again? The Bayport Library again?
To your pleasure. We can go anywhere you want.
Yes.
That's a beautiful place.
Yeah, the Bayport Library has been very accommodating and beautiful to work at. So I would think if we can get that, that would be great. Again, I think we should discuss in more detail on the 29th. I think everyone should wrap their brain around it. I do think that the theme, what I would like to propose, is the theme be about communication. In general, the communication amongst us as board members and how we handle our business, our communication with the district superintendent's cabinet and the staff. I know we talked about this year, there were things that we wanted to send out, but we didn't have them organized and calendared, and we should really work that out. And our communication with the community and how we interact. So I know you all, I'm not alone, have ideas on how we can do things differently, and I look forward to kind of collaborating on that and coming up with some different ways from the same old, so that we can change them. And then also, I think part of that should be a smaller part of it. We should review the goals and look forward to what next year what we're going to focus on and what we're going to bring. And I think, I think we've already established some of that will be about reinstating some of the things that we feel like we have lost.
I know we're going to talk about this at the next meeting,
Yep.
but I would like to also add that I would like to discuss the format of our meetings.
Yes, I think that is included in the community part or the board part. I agree. Yep. And the length, yes, yes. Sorry, I'm talking as fast as I can. Okay, we are done with board discussion and moving on to public comment. This first public comment section, as a reminder, is for agenda items only. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to an agenda item? Yes, seeing one. Please come to a microphone. I know there's a statement I'm supposed to read, but I don't have it. Okay. I appreciate you.
Happy summer. I can't tell you how happy I was to see the AIS math and the kindergarten aids on tonight's agenda. As a parent, I'm so happy to see these important topics are being talked about and not have been forgotten. First, I'd like to speak about the reduction of the kindergarten aid time. In the past, I worked for as an astrobosis. I've also taught kindergarten, and I've been a class mom 3 times. I've stayed very involved with the school as a PTA president, and I spent a lot of time in the building, the hot building at times, and seen firsthand how our youngest learners grow and learn. Kindergartners are not independent. They need help with support all day long, academically, socially, emotionally, and even with basic self-care. Every child is different, and every child needs something different. Aides in the classroom do not just help with prep work. They build strong bonds with children, help maintain a classroom so the teacher can keep teaching. They run stations. They work with small groups, giving each child chances to learn and hands-on activities. This support creates calmer, more focused learning space for everyone. Right now, we're increasing class sizes, but taking away support. That doesn't make sense. My son is a walker at Sunrise Drive. And at drop-off, I see little children nervous, sometimes crying, unsure where to enter the building. And Mrs. Greger knows every child's name that walks in that kindergarten door, even the older kids she greets. These children need more adult support, not less. Without aides, how could one teacher meet every need of a student in her room? AIS math. Over the past 2 years, this program has grown. It has made a real difference. I've heard from both parents, because parents think the PTA knows everything, and teachers that the math push-in model has been a very positive experience. Kids are getting small group, hands-on instruction multiple times a week. They're learning math in a way that makes the most sense to them, and they're building strong skills early on. This kind of support helps bigger struggles later. It gives all students a stronger foundation that could reduce the need for future intervention. As a parent whose child receives AIS support, I wish this program had been put in place when he was younger. It might have helped him earlier or even prevented the need for him to be pulled out of class. We must continue to support our students where it really matters, in the early grades, where the foundations of learning begin. If we want our children to be excited about school, engage in learning, and be confident in their skills, we need to make sure we have the staff and programs in place to support them. To me, that means restoring aides and support services in the elementary building. Thank you.
Thank you. I think you heard our previous discussion. Your comments are well received. Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you.
And we agree
Okay.
with all the supports that you mentioned.
Yes. Anybody else? Okay, we're going to move on to the resolutions. Oh, yes, Anthony, I forgot. Thank you, Tom. Tell us what you feel.
I mean, I can speak to the aides. I remember in kindergarten, I had Miss Delaney with Miss Gallo. It was like I go into class with my 2 teachers, as far as I was concerned, with Miss Delaney and Miss Gallo. I mean, my mom is great friends with both of them. So that, I think that just speaks to how much they were both there. Like, I feel like they were both like a part of my kindergarten experience. So I feel like they're very important to have to help the teacher out when you have 35-year-olds running around the building.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Good answer.
2 comments, 2 claps.
Yes. Okay, moving on to the recommended actions. Desmond, I know there's one you want me to pull out I jotted it down, but then when I walked away, I lost it.
On schedule for 5025.
50, 25. 4 point,
It is, no, I'm sorry, it's all the way down in the sixes.
Okay.
6.02, 5025, schedule for 5025.
6.02.
So you could do the fives first.
Okay, let's do that.
Fours, I didn't even realize they were
Okay,
fours.
great, thank you. Okay, so starting with 4.01 and going to 5.17, like to make a motion. To hear a motion, Kathy, second Desmond. Any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to discuss. I just want to make a note that we are receiving a $500 donation from the New York State Suffolk Association of School Business Officials to be awarded to a senior who's going to be majoring in business, which is very generous. And we'd like to say thank you to them for that. And we'd also like to acknowledge the Mitch Cangelosi Sustainability Scholarship Fund of $8,000, which is just amazing and a beautiful tribute to Mitch Cangelosi. And in addition, there's also attached to that an additional $4,000 donation to the Mitch Cangelosi Athletic Scholarship Fund. So I just wanted to make note of that. Thank you.
Thanks for that acknowledgement.
And for 508, the surplus memo? You
Yeah.
went through 510?
I did, I had that on my list too. Go
Okay,
ahead, Kathy.
So I wanted to thank, I guess it's Mr. Kuhn and whoever else helped him. He took a photograph of every item that we were discarding. So the photo explaining what the item is, why it cannot be used anymore, the item number for it, and I wanted to thank him and whoever helped
Absolutely.
do all of that.
Yeah, I also wanted to say, and Kathy, actually, you brought it up I think it was the last meeting or the meeting before, that when you read those resolutions, that some of the items were tagged with numbers and some were not tagged. And I think that that was like alarming, like, do we have stuff we don't know about? And do we not have stuff we don't know about? So, Mr. Bartels, we're hoping you'll work and help us figure that out as we go through our old stuff, figure out what we have, but that there's a going forward, that there's something put in place so that doesn't continue to happen.
Yeah, I want to that point, when Kathy brought that up, I had to go back and check with Mr. Castellano about those items. He said that the majority of that stuff came from the middle school basement, and there was a ton of stuff dating back to the 90s that they had been trying to get rid of for years, but that no one had been processing and tagging properly. So they finally did a project with Eleni Costello to kind of identify everything and then put it on the roster for you to approve. That's why it was so large, because it had not been done in 20 or 30 years, but now all that stuff has been cleaned out and we have a system now that should be in place to the point of what you just saw moving forward.
Okay, all in favor? Motion passes. All right, which one am I pulling out, Desmond? 6.02?
Yeah, I can abstain from all of 6.2. So if you want to do 6.1.
Okay, can I have a motion for 6.1? Second, Desmond. Instructional schedules, any discussion?
Congratulations to Nancy and John. I didn't know John Caconia was retiring.
Yes.
Yeah, and Nancy.
I just wanted to mention that I saw there was a lot of curriculum writing approved over the summer, and that's really exciting. Amy, do you want to talk about any of it?
I'd be happy to. So we, our title funds from the consolidated application, Title II is focused on professional development. And we carefully held on to a small sum of it, knowing that every year these funds expire on August 31st, which is different from the typical fiscal year. So knowing that once this summer began and through the end of the summer, we'd have some hours that we would be able to allocate. So we had some conversations with principals, department chairs, and we collaboratively prioritized the courses that needed to be written for the first time, rewritten, courses that had maybe more inconsistencies than others, or just were being offered for the first time. And teachers came up with, creative ideas. They attended training, and everyone is poised to write maps for those courses. And I don't have the number off the top of my head, but we're going to be building some new maps and adding to our catalog, and we're really proud about that.
exciting. I hope that all the teachers who are involved, first, thank you for the work that you're doing, and I hope you do take some time to reset before you come back in September. Okay.
I just had a quick question for Mark. Is the process for resignation when a teacher resigns, is that, are they able to do that through email? Does it have to be a written, something written? I'm just wondering, is there like a set process, procedure in place for resigning?
There has to be a letter of resignation. It has to be dated and signed,
Okay.
but they can scan it and email it to us.
Okay.
If they
All
would
right.
like. Yeah.
I was just curious.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, 6.01, all in favor? Motion carries.
Wait.
Sorry?
Is that the instruction? I wanted to point out that with
Oh,
that
sorry.
motion
You did
being
tell me that.
voted on, we do have 2 new employees joining us, one of whom is here tonight. We'd like to congratulate our special education teacher joining the middle school in the 812 program. Congratulations and welcome to the family, Emma Fury. It was a rigorous process, interview process with multiple layers and a demo lesson, and she just did a wonderful job, and the middle school is really excited to have you. Additionally, not here today, but certainly another wonderful hire, a PE teacher for Sunrise Drive and for Lincoln Avenue. That will be Emma Aceveda. She also is an Emma, and we decided this year we're only going to hire Emmas. So, and you'll meet her at the new teacher orientation as well. So congratulations, both.
Welcome, welcome. Okay, 6.02, could I have a motion? Kelly, second. Chris, any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Are you abstaining? Tom and Desmond abstain. Fair enough. Okay, 6.03 through 7.03. I'm going to do 7.02. Can I have a motion? Desmond, second. Tom? All right, any discussion? All in favor? All right, 7.03 are the policy reviews and adoption. Can I have a motion? Kathy, second. Tom? She's volunteering you. Any discussion?
Is that the cell phone one?
There is the cell phone one. There's 4 of them there. Cell phone was second review. So that one is, we are approving tonight.
I just had a question about one section of it, and it was the taking of the device. I just wanted to make sure that like the district itself was covered, and maybe Risa can help. But I'm not crazy about the district will exercise reasonable care to maintain the security of devices that are held by the district, but cannot guarantee the devices will be secure. I don't.
Are you asking Risa what she?
Yeah, I'm like, why? Like, I understand, like, you know, the legality of it, but what does that mean? We can't, like, what does that mean? We can, so like, if a kid, so obviously it's by law, we can't suspend kids, right? For these infractions, but we can, what I'm reading is we can take their phone at the end, after the first infraction, the kid can come and get their phone at the end of the day. After the first infraction, the parent has to come up and get, and the parent has to come up and get it. Why aren't we able to reasonably make sure, like, guarantee that it's in a secure place?
I think what the sentence is saying is that we will obviously exercise reasonable care, we just not, if something happened to you, basically putting into writing that if something were to happen to the phone, you're not legally liable for that scenario. I guess, I do not review this policy, but I'm assuming that the motivation behind it is to say, we're only taking it from you because you are committing infractions, and therefore you're forcing a task upon the district that they didn't previously have to be responsible for. And while obviously they're not going to intentionally damage your property and try to keep it safe, you know, there are situations where something could happen to it, and therefore that liability would fall back with the student and not with the district.
Because they broke the infraction.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the only reason you're taking.
Or they could accuse you of breaking the phone when you didn't, and you're still not liable.
Okay.
It's sort of like you're in a classroom, Desmond. I was in a classroom, right? Teachers are there. Even in the passing of the phone, you drop the phone, it cracks. You put it on the desk, and another student walks out with it. There are unfortunately things that we don't ever plan on happening, but unfortunately do.
Yeah.
I know when we worked through this on the committee, there was a really good group of people who worked through it, and I believe that's the language that came to us as a sample from NISBA. And I'll just say in my day job, it's very similar to what most districts are implementing.
I think that's a good point. That's what I was going to say. NISBA, when they give us their sample policies, of course, we can always change it or adjust it, but that was language directly from their recommendation.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear why the
Yeah.
language is
Mhm.
written in there, like to avoid
Yeah.
future litigation.
Yes.
But I just thought the wording. Was,
I also want to be really.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah,
that
no,
we're
it's a good question.
Yeah.
And I want to make clear that the entire group understands that this is going to be new, and there's going to be some growing pains, and there's going to be some likes and dislikes to the policy. It is a law. We don't have a choice but to put it in, but we can tweak within the law. And we agreed that we would reconvene in December, give it enough time to sort of play out and revisit it and see if there's anything that needs to be changed. So this may come back to the board at some point, but
I think this will be this among all issues is one where Anthony actually will be the most beneficial for us, because he's actually going to live
I know.
it. Yeah. Right, because I think he'll be in the trenches, and he'll I think this is where Anthony's
Yeah.
value is going to skyrocket for us. So buckle up, Anthony.
So I was just reading it now. So obviously it's a state law, and we really don't have a choice to do this or not. But if I'm going to speak about this year without having the pouches and the lockers and everything, I feel like we didn't have a problem. Every class has the pouch on the wall. You walk in, you put your phone there. I really don't think it was a problem.
So the good news, yeah, we
agree with
agreed.
you.
We agreed. The good news is that Sayville was kind of halfway there by having the pouches. So the law, however, is a bell-to-bell law, which means that the pouches are no longer something that we can do from where you move from class to class with your phone. So we know that will be a learning curve, and there'll be some growing pains. And you did not sit on the committee, but the student who did, I'm sure you work with her, was absolutely amazing. And come September and October, you'll probably have a lot of input for us, and we look forward to it. Okay, any other discussion? Go ahead.
Well, each class has a bell, right? Does it specifically say
Exactly.
the first bell of the day to the last bell of the day? And we
Okay.
keep the pouch? I don't know. I'm just saying. Let's think
It's
about
very
it.
specific.
Next school day, no into it.
All right, tried everyone. Sorry.
Yes. Okay. Any other discussion on the policies? Nope. All right. All in favor? Okay. Motion passes. All right. Upcoming dates. Our next Board of Education meeting is now on July 29th. And we look forward to seeing everyone. And our second public comment is anybody looking to speak about non-agenda items or agenda items? All right, seeing no one, would like to. Oh, we have the all right, so we're going to adjourn this meeting, open up our public hearing for the next piece. God, this was a lot. All right, okay, motion to adjourn.
Can I make a comment before, just kind of part of just about Jamie Atkinson?
Yeah, sure.
Should I?
No, go ahead.
All right, so I did want to kind of make sure the public was aware. Jamie Atkinson was a 2000 graduate of Sayville High School. Recently passed away from a 9/11 related cancer. He was the youngest 9/11 cancer survivor in the country, contracted it when he was 19, when he was doing dispatch for the community ambulance. He started as a volunteer at 16 years old. He's the youngest chief in our history. He introduced the first Narcan program in New York State. And I think for me, why I think it's especially for people to know about Jamie is he did one thing for schools, I'll mention, and then something I think that was of note. He created an early college scholarship program for kids. He never went away to college. He got a 4-year degree, but he never went away. And he wanted kids to get excited about college and to have that experience and to kind of give them that joy. But he also wanted to help make a kid's college application a little bit more competitive. So we paid for an early college program to Notre Dame. So kids, juniors in high school would go for 3 weeks. Jamie paid for the entire thing. They'd study and they'd end up with a college credit. He wanted to change a life. He did that for a number of years. But I think for me is, what's particularly heroic about Jamie was, he had to go to ground zero. I just think that was his nature. But it happened again this time where, COVID struck. Jamie was immunocompromised. He knew he could die. He went out all the time. He was appointed in 2009 for EMS. He was the Suffolk County Deputy Coordinator for EMS Services. Basically, he was kind of like the boots on the ground for EMS for the county in the middle of the pandemic. And this is a guy that knew if he got COVID, he could die. But that's, he's ours. His wake was until 8 o'clock tonight. His funeral's tomorrow at St. Lawrence at 10 a.m. He's a treasure and a hero. I can't say enough good things about Jamie.
Yeah.
I'm just one of many people that love Jamie. He's one of the finest human beings I've ever known.
I'd like to suggest, since we know that his funeral services are going on as we speak, perhaps we take a moment of silence in his honor. Thank you. Okay, going forward with a motion to adjourn this meeting. Motion, second. Kelly, Tom, any discussion? All in favor? Okay, moving on to our one item agenda, I promise. Okay, motion to open the public hearing to approve our statewide safety plan. Kathy and Kelly. Discussion?
I did read it.
Hold on, all in favor, hold on. We didn't get to the plan yet. All in favor to open? Yes, motion carries. Okay, call to order this meeting, and I'd like a motion to approve the district-wide safety plan. Not approving the plan. What are we doing? Just reviewing? Thank you, Risa. We are reviewing it. We're going to discuss it, and then we will open it up for a 30-day comment period before approval. And Kathy, go ahead.
I just wanted to share who put this together, because I read the 63 pages and oh my goodness, it has every little piece. It is so comprehensive, every little piece in place for safety for this school district.
It was a comprehensive collaborative effort between the director of Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Castellano. It was our head chief of security, Mike Edelbaum, and it was Rhonda Messerol and Amy DeMiola for the instructional plan.
Well, it's very impressive.
Yes,
and thank
I agree.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I wanted to say I just made a list.
And the
before-
committee that was all
Right.
teachers and staff.
On the committee was superintendent, cabinet members, admins, teachers, nurses, clericals, our board of trustee, Tom Cooley, teachers, parents, the Sayville and West Sayville Fire Department, Suffolk County police officers, our SRPs, and our bus drivers. I mean, it really was comprehensive. It covered everything, and I think it was impressive. I agree. Anything else you noticed, Kathy? I did make clear that come September, there were some, I think September 15th and October 1 are some important deadlines. So we have a lot of training that has to happen with our staff and a lot of information that needs to go out to our staff, our parents, and our students. So we look forward to that happening. Any other comments?
Yeah, I wanted to kind of emphasize, I'm glad it's up for review. What I would encourage the public to do is, for me, and I think Ms. Macris knows this is something I think is important, our threat assessment team. We have all the elements of one. I would like to see that formalized more. I think that that's the best way to actually make our school safe is to have a formal comprehensive threat assessment team. I think we're there kind of, but it's not as formal as what I would like to see.
So I can speak to that directly. Actually, some of the curriculum money that Ms. Sarni addressed before, working with Amy's office, we're actually going to work this summer. Part of the curriculum writing is going to address exactly that. We had members of our PPS staff that attended the prepare training, or some school district call it the red binder, which addresses threat from every angle, how to be proactive to avoid it, but then postvention too, in the case that something happens. So that's something that we're going to dive deeper in, and that part of a threat assessment team, that's a large component of it.
Yeah, I think to kind of underscore a point, like New Jersey mandated them 2 years ago. I think there's like something like 7 or 8 states that have it's mandated for every school district. I think we have a lot of discussions, there's debates about, armed guards, not armed guards, perimeter guards, not perimeter guards. And that, for me, it's frustrating because if this is the most important way to make schools safe, without question, having a vigilant attitude as part of a cultural norm that's upheld by every single person in the community, but that threat assessment team, because those are your greatest risks to student safety, or students that are distressed and need interventions. So you have to come at it from a mental health. And, I know Jillian knows this. So I'm glad we're moving that way and putting some curriculum money behind it. It's the most important way to make schools safe. I don't, a lot of what we see in public discourse is posturing. You're not doing anything to make things safe. This threat assessment makes kids safe. That's great. I'm not surprised, because we've kind of had that mental health element always, but the more formal it is, the more the protocols are defined. I just think it makes it more effective.
Okay, so if that plan now will go up on our website, and will we email the link as well for review?
Mhm.
Yes, does anybody have any comment? Okay, seeing nobody. I know this is not really the meeting this would have went in, probably the last one, but just because it's the end, I just want to thank everyone for listening. It was a lot, especially for a summer. And I look forward to working in this position with my fellow board members, and that we can move forward. I think we had some really great discussion tonight. I'd like for us to continue that. So I would like to have a motion to adjourn. Do we need to go into exec?
I can email you details on a private matter.
Is that okay? All right, so motion to adjourn. Motion, Chris, second, James. Discussion? All in favor? Meeting is over. See you on July 29th. Thank you all for attending.
Thank you.